they're going to be upset.
It is August 2nd. 2021. We are in the Brainerd City Council chambers at City Hall. I'll call to order the Brainerd City Council meeting, and we will start with roll call.
O'Day. Here. Stunek.
I'm here.
Pritchett.
Here.
Stengline.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
And Badeau.
Here.
Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That brings us to the fourth item on the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Pritchett, second by O'Day. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. That brings us to number 5, the consent calendar. Notice to public, all matters listed are considered routine by the council and will all be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the council votes on the motion to be adopted by roll call.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
A motion by Pritchett, second by Stunek to approve the consent calendar. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll call.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. That brings us to item number 6, Community Member of the Month. Take it away, Mayor Dave.
All right, and I will ask Council Chair Johnson to join me in this as well. But this last Wednesday, we had an event at J.C.'s Park in which Dave Jonesy Jones was celebrated with the honor of having a Bronco League field named after him. And Council Member Johnson was there, as well as members from the Park Board and the community. And at the event, it was recommended and nominated by yourself that we also extend this Community Member of the Month certificate to Mr. Jonesy as well. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to speak, and then I'll speak as well. But for those of you who don't know, Dave Jonesy is an umpire that has been umping in the city of Brainerd for 30 years, 35 years?
35.
35 years. And both of us had the pleasure of having him as kids, but I'll let you speak slightly
You
about it.
literally just said everything I have to say about that. No, but it was a good event, and he was honored with, he's no longer umping, but he umped for 35 years. If you or your kids or your nephews played baseball in the city of Brainerd in the last 35, 40 years, you know Jonesy. He was the cool ump. He was the fun ump. His calls were exciting. He made the game exciting, and he taught kids how to play baseball. He was a coach as much as he was an ump, and he was just a great member of this community, and it's tough to nominate him for Community Member of the Month when over 35 years he's put in hundreds and hundreds of months of helping kids in this community, and God bless him for it.
Yeah, and the spirit of this award is meant to be people that are out there doing things for the community but not asking for recognition. And I couldn't think of an individual that fits that better. Like yourself, when we played baseball, I believe played against you, your team was stacked and it wasn't fair.
I was on it.
We were really good until the playoffs, and then we were terrible. It was interesting that he was a local celebrity to kids. And it's interesting to have you say the same things that we felt on our team and other kids felt as well. But then also then to have my son play baseball in the last couple of years and actually get to be umped by Jonesy as well and have those kids feel the same way. It's impressive, and obviously having a field named after you is a bigger deal than being the Community Member of the Month, but it's perfect timing to be able to recognize him again. So, Community Member of the Month for August of 2021, Dave Jonesy Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to item number 7 on the agenda. 7A is the Safety and Public Works Committee. Chairman O'Day.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did have 4 items with an additional 5th item, and we put that at number 4, which is a change order to 19-01, change order 2. So we bumped down the presentation from 4 to 5. First item, I'll just give you the motion. And the motion was to adopt the attached resolution in which declares the petition to vacate a portion of Southwest 7th sufficient and sets the public hearing for September 7th, 2021 during the regularly scheduled city council meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I can kind of explain it. If Sean, if you could pull it up on a map, it's basically Southwest 7th Street where it could continue or where it was platted to continue. But it's not going to go anywhere anymore. And this is Lisa Paxton, owner of 623 Ethel Street, is petitioning to add to her property. And she got the signatures from her neighbors. This does not make it official. This just sets up the public hearing. So if anybody wants to say anything about it, they can.
On September 7th.
On September
Any other
7th.
discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Alderman O'Day.
Mr. Chair, should that be roll call?
That's a resolution. Thank you. I'm a little rusty. Sorry. Let's do a roll call vote.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, I'll get the next resolutions. Alderman O'Day.
Item number 2 was a recommended approval of the attached event application under the conditions the applicant continue coordination with appropriate law enforcement staff and the applicant fill out the park use form so that it can be scheduled accordingly, and I so move.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
This is the Brainerd Homecoming Run 2021, scheduled for October 2nd, 2021, and it will be at Kiwanis Park. There's a 5K and a 10K. They use the Boom Lake Trail, College Drive, East River Road, South 5th Street, Laurel Street, County Road 48. It's just basically letting them use the park. That's all.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by voice vote this time. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I like the suspense there.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure. What are we voting on? I wasn't even listening. Alderman O'Day.
Third item is another race-type activity, but it's for bikes. And the motion is to approve the attached application under the condition that the applicant requests traffic control 1 week prior to the event. I so move.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
This is a tour of the lakes, bicycle tour. Essentially, they want to close the Laurel Street parking lot. That's where they're going to start, and that's where they're going to end. But it's a pretty big race, and they expect to have an event there in the parking lot at the end of the day.
Excellent. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll try another voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Chairman O'Day.
This was the additional item, change order number 2 to the street project 19-01. That's the West 4th Street project. There was a number of things that basically it added up to just over $15,000 in additional cost. A lot of this having to do with the delayed swing. What do we call that, Paul?
The signal modification, there was a lot of changes that occurred when we, the original plan had the signal to be modified under traffic, and the electrician that came out on site holding electric elected that that work couldn't be done under traffic conditions, and so a detour had to be set up, as you saw the road closure on 4th Street. So a large majority of that is due to the signal modification that occurred.
Right, and all of this money is still coming out of grant funds from the state aid.
Yeah, grant and state aid funds, correct.
And the motion was to approve the change order.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I think we already had the motion and the second. That was discussion, wasn't it? No. Okay, do we have any more discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, we'll do another voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Alderman O'Day.
The fifth and final item on our agenda today was a presentation about safe routes to school, the engineering study that was approved, I believe, last fall. And we now have solid numbers and data and plans for some of our neighborhood schools to make them safer. And we can now be very competitive in bidding for grants going forward. So going forward with the information from the engineering study, basically now we can decide which schools we want to make safer, and probably just go one by one.
And which schools we don't want to make safer.
Obviously, we want them all to be safe. And yeah,
Was there any action here?
there was no action on this item. We're just kind of setting up a dialogue.
Thanks for the update. Anything else?
Report.
End of report. The mayor wants to pitch in here.
Yeah, I want to chime in on that before we move past it. One, a huge supporter of the Safe Routes to School program. Obviously, coming from Northeast, the sidewalks that we've put in for Garfield School have been a tremendous improvement for that area. I just want to make a couple comments that we were able to get some numbers, and these are back from 2016, so they're hopefully higher now than they were at this point, and it was late in the year, in November, but we have roughly 30 to 40 kids walking to school, to our neighborhood schools every day, even reaching into the winter. We'd like to see those numbers increase because it's cheaper for the school district, but it's also good for the kids because it's good for them to be active members of their community. I do want to make just one comment on parking lots because I like to talk about parking lots and how much I dislike them. In this study, the information that we've received from our wonderful city engineer and MnDOT says that in the last 5 years, there have been 0 pedestrian accidents involving pedestrians and cars around these schools. And I was told that these parking lots would make our students safer. So I'm expecting negative numbers from these
Are going to be
these accidents over the next
making
few years.
babies. Thank you,
End of
Mr.
comment.
Mayor. Thank you for adding that. Still end of report, Chairman O'Day.
That is the end.
All right, thank you, sir. That brings us to 7B, some more suspense. Tiffany's going to take it over.
So, first item was the discussion requesting an extension to the Small Cities Development Program. And the motion out of committee is to follow the HRA Board's recommendation and not seek an extension of the grant CDAP 1700190FY18 and to close out the grant by September 30th, 2021. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Well, so we talked a little bit in our committee about the advantages and disadvantages, and basically the HRA's conclusion is that we're not going to get the money spent even if we get an extension, and this ties up our attempts to get any other grant money for other neighborhoods that might need it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Councilmember Stengline.
Okay, so second item is the resolution approving the joint powers agreement with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and to authorize the signatures. It may seem familiar. I should first make the motion to adopt the attached resolution and approve the appropriate signatures on the joint powers agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the resolution. Any discussion?
And now I can explain that this should be pretty familiar by this point. We've just done 2 others of these for the attorney and for the police department as well. But apparently we can't do them all in one was the findings in our committee. So we can do another one.
Maybe you should just mention this is for the fire department hiring stuff.
This is for the fire
Fire
department.
department to do criminal
out-of-state-
background checks.
Yep, out-of-state background checks. And the agreement's good for 5 years, so they won't have to bother us with this again for a while. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll call.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson. Yes. And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. Councilmember Stengline.
Okay, number 3 is paid on-call firefighter hiring. And the motion out of committee is to approve the fire department to establish a paid on-call firefighter hiring list and to hire up to 4 paid on-call firefighters.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Sure, so basically we've got 4 openings and the fire chief wants to start a fresh list and fill some vacancies.
Excellent. And we're at 36. These 4 vacancies could
Would
get
bring
us
us up to 40.
To 40, okay.
Which is where we want to be.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Okay, the next 2 should go fairly quickly. The motion out of committee is to ratify the hiring of Community Service Officer Joshua Schuler, starting at $14 per hour with an effective date July 28th, 2021. And I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So we are basically filling some vacancies. We authorized this hiring at our last meeting.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Okay, the next motion is to ratify the hiring of Police Officer Joshua Clausen, starting at LELS Step 1, rate $28.26 per hour with an effective date of July 26th, 2021. And I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I will say that it was noted in our meeting how effective the police department is at starting folks out at Step 1.
Very, very good at following rules, those police officers.
Saving money all over.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Councilmember Stingline.
Next was a motion to authorize staff to reduce the school resource officer contract amount with ISD 181 for the second half billing for the 2020-2021 school year by $12,000. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Sure. So the last time around, and I should probably note that this was a divided decision coming out of our committee. But the last time around, we did a discount because the school district was closed. So the school resource officer didn't need to be there because nobody else was. And we did utilize that officer's time in other ways. So this is following the same formula that we did last time, calculating the number of days that the school resource officer was not serving as a school resource officer, but was doing other duties.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Oh, I have one point. When we gave the school district a discount last time, it was because the governor of the state of Minnesota, Tim Walz, had said you're not allowed to be open. This time they're asking for a refund because they decided themselves, hey, we're going to be closed for a while. So I don't think it's the exact same situation. And I look back at the contract and it says that we will employ an officer and provide him to be available, him or her to be available up to 173 days a year. We did that. We fulfilled our end of the obligation. So I don't think we should be giving them a discount. We'll do what we say we're going to do. They can do what they say they're going to do, which is pay us the amount they said they were going to. And that's my thoughts on it. Any other discussion?
My question is just simply like, what is our direction going to be moving forward from this? Are we just going to continue down this road? As more problems arise, are we always going to be being asked for a discount on this?
I think we need Councilmember Stengline to answer that.
Well, I sure hope that the kids can stay in school from here on out and this won't come up for another 100 years. That would be my hope.
That's a lot of hope. Any other discussion?
We will be renegotiating the school resource contract at the next council meeting or the first meeting in September, so I think it'll be addressed in that agreement as well.
Well, it's addressed in the current agreement. It says we'll provide the officer up to 173 days. There's nothing to address. Okay, all in favor of giving the $12,000 discount, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Aye. It appears that motion carries. Councilmember Stengline.
Yeah, so the last item was a review of the 2022 budget timeline. So the motion out of committee is to set a budget workshop for Monday, August 30th, 2021 at 6 p.m. And I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I will note, thank you, Mr. Johnson, that the August 18th should not be a presentation of the budget to the PNF chair and the council president. The PNF chair and the council president will work with the city administrator that day to create a budget.
Create the budget, yes. It will be presented to the full council, though, at a later time.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Stengline. Any other discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to set the budget workshop at August 30th at 6 p.m. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Councilmember Stengline.
End of report.
Excellent job, excellent job. That brings us to item 8, unfinished business. 8A, adoption of a resolution approving summary publication of charter ordinance. City Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council. As you recall, the ordinance for the ordinance 1516 was published in the dispatch prior to our public hearing. According to our attorney, we must also publish a notice informing the public that ordinance 1516 was adopted. So that ordinance will take effect 90 days after it was adopted. This resolution just provides notice that a summary publication will be placed and people can see an entire copy of ordinance 1516. We will have one available at City Hall for anybody who is interested in reading the entire ordinance, Mr. Chair.
City Administrator Bergman, can we toss that up on the old www.brainerd.ci.mn.us?
We absolutely can.
That would be swell. Don't go to that one, just Google City of Brainerd's website.
Very long.
Are you waiting for?
Now we're looking for the motion for the resolution, yep.
All right, I move to adopt resolution approving summary publication of Charter Ordinance 1516.
Second.
We have a motion by Pritchett, second by Stengline. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll call.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. 8B is a call for applicants. Mayor Badeau.
Yes, as always, we have positions available on committees at the City of Brainerd. Those applications are available at www.ci.brainerd.mn.us. Very close, but incorrect. That's the correct address.
Still probably Google the website.
Probably Google it. So I have the following committees that have positions available in terms expiring 12/31 of said year. Really important, the Cable TV Advisory Committee. If you are out there and you are listening, we are hoping to get this Cable TV Advisory Committee shored up. So if you're interested, we have one term expiring 2021 and one term expiring 2022.
2 terms.
That's not what my thing says.
1 + 1 is 2.
Yeah, it's not what mine says, so I'm going to read mine. Charter Commission, one term expiring 2022. Housing and Redevelopment Authority, you can work with my good friend Eric over here, one term expiring 2022. Rental Dwelling License Board of Appeals, long name, great thing, 3 terms available, expiring 2022. Transportation Advisory Committee, one term expiring 2022. And also the EDA has one term expiring on September 7th. Of this year.
And the council president could not be here tonight, but he is actively searching for a member for the Police and Fire Civil Service Commission. That term expires the end of the year 2023. And if hypothetically we make an ad hoc committee for a water tower this evening, there will be 2 positions available, but we don't know yet. That brings us to 9. 9A, consider a resolution establishing an ad hoc committee to save the water tower. Jennifer.
Very nice segue, Mr. President. So as you recall, the City Council did create a procedure for ad hoc committees at their June 24th meeting. We did take the month of July to speak with our established committees and let them know what the procedure was. So attached, you will actually be hearing 3 of these this evening. This is our first one. Attached is the proposed resolution for the Water Tower Committee. This one is a bit unique as the Water Tower Committee actually created their own 501c3. However, their bylaws do indicate that this is an ad hoc committee of the City Council. So the members would like to continue their committee. Their main purpose, of course, is to raise funds to repair the water tower. So resolution is before you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, Mr. President.
Let's just take a motion to pass the resolution.
I have a motion. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Pritchett.
To adopt the resolution establishing the ad hoc committee to save the water tower.
Second.
We have a motion by Pritchett, a second by Stunek to adopt the resolution establishing an ad hoc committee to save the historic water tower. Is there any questions of the city administrator or anybody? Any discussion regarding the motion? Mayor.
That's right.
Badeau.
That's correct. Just one quick thing to add, that the Water Tower Committee's 501c3 status has been approved. So they are now officially a 501c3 with the stamp of approval by the federal government.
That's good news. No other discussion. We'll vote by roll call.
O'Day?
Yes.
Stunek?
Yes.
Pritchett?
Yes.
Stengline?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. That brings us to 9B. Let's consider a resolution establishing an ad hoc committee to study and advise the city council on parking. City Administrator. Or is this Community Development Director Chance?
Yeah, I'll take that, Mr. Chair. Thank you. As Administrator Bergman said, this is based off of the City Council's change of ad hoc committee policy from June 24th. Initially, again, the Parking Commission was established by, or reestablished by the City Council July of last year. This resolution just reestablishes them formally per the council's new policy. The commission is currently comprised of 5 members, being Kevin Yeager, who serves as the chair, Chuck Marone as the vice chair, Riley Weber, Brenda Billman-Art, and Wayne Erickson.
Thank you, Community Development Director. I'm looking for a motion to adopt the attached resolution.
So moved.
Motion by O'Day,
Second.
second by Stengline. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll call.
O'Day?
Yes.
Stunek?
Yep.
Pritchett?
Yes.
Stengline?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. That brings us to 9C. Let's consider another resolution here. This resolution will dissolve the Walkable Bikeable Ad Hoc Committee that hasn't been created yet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, as a result of the council's change in policy, looking at all the committees, as Administrator Bergman said, we did go and speak with all of our committees. After speaking with members of the Walkable Bikeable Committee, and also Administrator Bergman and myself talking about it, also with Engineer Sandy, it kind of came to an overall conclusion, even with members of the Walkable Bikeable Committee, that at this time, they have served the purpose of that they were originally created to serve when they were created in September of 2013. In those last 7 years, they did their main job of being an influential driving force in the development and adoption of the Complete Streets policy, as well as the non-motorized transportation plan. Both documents the staff actively use in planning and construction of the city's streets, sidewalks, and trails. However, since the completion of those items, the committee has kind of been floundering a little bit. They haven't had any new direction from the city council as to what they should be working on. And so based off of the new policy, we are recommending tonight that the city council adopt a resolution acknowledging and applauding the accomplishments of the Walkable Bikeable City Committee, and then dissolve the committee until at a time at which the council deems it necessary to reestablish it.
Looking for a motion to adopt the attached resolution.
Moved.
So moved.
Motion by Stunek,
Second.
second by O'Day. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. We will, any discussion? Mayor Bedell, give it to me.
I just wanted to be on the public record that I'm disappointed to see this group dissolve, in that I think that this is an important part of where we are going as a city. Although there was a floundering of direction, I would have liked to have seen this group pick up the pieces and figure out what that direction should be and come with an ask to the council. That was not the direction that they chose to take. But I do want to be on the record as saying that the walkability and bikeability, if that's a word, of our city is extremely important, and we should be making sure that is on the forefront.
I'll just follow up with that. Mayor Bedell was saying that I think if we had a group of concerned citizens come forward looking for an ad hoc committee with direction that they wanted to move forward, I think they'd be well received by this body. And I'll just point out that this resolution is acknowledging and applauding the accomplishments of Walkable Bikeable City Committee.
The accomplishments.
Any other discussion? We'll vote by roll call.
O'Day?
Yes.
Stunek?
Yes.
Pritchett?
Yes.
Stengline?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. That brings us to 9D, consideration for conditional use permit for the operation of an automobile dealership with associated maintenance shop at 210 Northwest 5th Street. Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Derek Taylor submitted a request on behalf of Sealte LLC at 210 Northwest 5th Street here in Brainerd for a conditional use permit, as you said, to operate an automobile dealership with associated mechanic shop. This is an operation that in a B4 district is considered a conditional use per section 515-63-6.0 of the Code of Ordinances. The Planning Commission did consider the CUP request during their regular meeting on July 21st and voted unanimously to approve the requested CUP with the conditions that the Engineering and Community Development Departments review and approve the new sales lot design prior to construction, and that any new parking lot lighting have motion detectors and be dimmable to 50% power after business hours.
Thank you, Mr. Chansky. Do we have a motion to that effect? Let's go with Alderman Erickson.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Erickson, second by Pritchett to approve the conditional use permit to operate automobile dealership with associated mechanic shop at 210 Northwest 5th Street with the conditions that the Engineering and Community Development Departments review and approve the new sales lot design prior to construction, and that any new parking lot lighting have motion detectors and be dimmable to 50% power after business hours, correct?
That's correct. I'll just add the note about the motion and the dimmable lights. Just comes on the heels of the discussion about lighting and the lighting plan and the discussion that the Planning Commission has had, so.
And those are doable?
Doable, and the applicant was more than happy and more than willing to comply with that.
Okay.
And it's similar to what the Planning Commission requested the school district, and actually what Mid-Minnesota actually did next door in their lighting. They're dimmable, and as people approach, they go up to full power during the evening.
Excellent. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, I think, voice vote, right? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. That brings us to 9E, which is another conditional use permit, and I'm going to apologize in advance to most of the people here because you're not going to be satisfied. But will you explain where we're at here, Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Mr. Chair. James and April Firth submitted a conditional use permit to operate a private learning center at 310 North 7th Street. The operation of a school, which we are considering this as a school in the R1 district, is considered a conditional use per section 515-54-5.f of the Code of Ordinances. As you can see, I won't go through reading the entire agenda request. The Planning Commission did consider this during their regular meeting in July, and upon hearing extensive public input and public testimony on this subject, they did vote unanimously to approve the CUP request with the condition that all requirements from the state of Minnesota and the city of Brainerd building official be met. Additionally, it was intended to be in your packet. I apologize that it didn't get in there. I sent separately after the packet went out a letter from Council President Bevins expressing some questions and concerns he had. I believe the applicants also sent out an email letter to the council over the weekend, expressing some. Hopefully, they're be able to address some of the questions that the that the city council may have, or that Council President Bevins had. And with that, I'll take any questions.
All right. Well, thank you, Community Development Director. I have this letter from Council President Kelly Bevins. And I'd like to read it to get it in the public record.
I think I have to make the motion, a motion first.
I can read a letter to get it in the public record
All right.
first. So, dated July 27th, 2021, Gabe Johnson, Brainerd City Council Vice Chair. I have some concerns over the conditional use permit request at North 7th Street. I'm not sure I agree with the determination that this is a school. Community Development Director Chansky assures me that Life Lesson, Inc. is a for-profit private learning institution, and the parents that send their children to this business are the determining factors as to whether it is legitimately a school. The state of Minnesota does not regulate this. To me, this seems no different than giving piano lessons in my home and therefore may not qualify for the CUP. If this is a school, so be it. The council must allow it. I have serious concerns that it is not. It appears the applicants have already gotten away with one on the city by not living in the home that they were running as a home extended business, and with no apparent consequences. I don't think taking a residence and allowing a for-profit enterprise is the best use of this home. At the very least, I understand the neighbors' concerns. Unfortunately, I cannot be at the August 2nd meeting due to a death in the family. But with all the missing pieces, I'm asking the council to consider a no vote until all these questions can be answered. Thank you, Kelly Bevins, Brainerd City Council, Ward 2, Council Chair 2020 through 2021. Please copy for the council packet. So given that the city attorney isn't here tonight, and we do have these questions that weren't included nor answers included in the packet, I think it would be best of us tonight to put this off 2 weeks. We can get Alderman Bevan's question answered by the city attorney, come back and revisit this in a couple of weeks. And with that, I'll take a motion.
Right, so first we need the underlying motion, then a motion to postpone to a
Oh,
time
we don't even need an underlying motion. We can just move on.
It's on the agenda, so,
Well, then let's
yeah.
make a motion to put it off 2 weeks.
So
Add it to our next council agenda.
I'll move to postpone to a time certain our next meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to postpone this issue to our next regularly scheduled council meeting. Is there any discussion?
So I actually, I am moving to postpone because it's the correct procedure, but I actually think we can take this up and deal with this tonight. The meaning of a school is a pretty standard, plain textual reading of what it means. I don't think we need the state to tell us what the word school means in our ordinance.
Will you be voting no on your motion?
I will be voting no on my motion.
You absolutely have that right. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will vote. All in favor of postponing the issue until our next council meeting, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
No.
Aye.
Let's do a roll call. I think that was a no prevalence.
O'Day,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, postpone. No, let's address it right now.
No.
Stunek,
Yes.
Pritchett,
Yes.
Stengline,
No.
Erickson,
No.
Johnson.
Yes.
Is a tie, Mr.
That
Mayor.
is a 3-3. That is a 3-3 vote. It has happened. The mayor gets a say.
Sure of this. I'm not really supposed to make any commentary, but I apologize to everyone that has come in. But given the concerns by the absent council president, my vote is yes.
So that carries. We will postpone this. Sorry for everybody who came and sat through all this, but we hope to see you back here in 2 weeks. That brings us to the next item on the agenda, which is the public forum. Anybody here? Seeing nobody, we'll move on. Just kidding.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you all for coming.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
That was on the agenda.
Hello, City Council.
Name and
Mayor,
address.
City Administrator. Mike Higgins, 1801 Mill Avenue, Brainerd Industrial Center, and 1511 North Pacific Road, Northern Pacific Center. Got an email forwarded that you guys got over the weekend about grass and the baseball fields or softball fields and hockey rink, and I just had a little meeting with Jennifer this morning and thought I'd come and talk to you guys for a second. I have not done a very good job of mowing the grass at Bick this year. If you guys want to give me a $100 fine, I'm fine paying it. I've failed. I haven't done a good job. And I don't like it, but it's been a pretty tough year coming off of COVID for us, and I apologize for that. It was professionally mowed this morning. It was mowed last week right before that letter sent out, but I'm not going to nitpick about it. It's handled. It's done. It won't happen again. So I apologize for that and the inconvenience that it caused the city council. And I also, it was brought to my attention that in my contract with the sale of the property on the parking lot to you guys that it was supposed to be tore down by June 1st, and I missed that one too. There's equipment sitting there today that was moved in. We've had our demolition permit for about a month, and there was an underlying issue. The BPU had a transformer on a pole that needed to be removed. They just got that done a week ago. I talked to Trent this morning after I talked to Jennifer, made sure that was done, and it is done. Nobody's fault. Nobody did anything wrong. It was just, we had to get the water unhooked, and we had to get the gas unhooked, and we had to get the power unhooked. They unhooked the power, but then the pole was on the property instead of on the right of way. So I just asked Trent to come back and go ahead and get all the transformers and the poles right out of there so we can get it cleaned up. So I'm not sure we'll get started this week. We might, but next week we'll definitely get started. And I think within a few days that will be handled and cleaned up and looking better. There'll be a piece of fence that's left up that we're actually going to move. We're going to finish our fence across the driveway down to the fire department building, go around the fire department building, and then go part of the way down M Street with a 6-foot high fence just to kind of clean it up and make it look good. So there again, I apologize. I kind of missed that and forgot about it, and I will get it handled. So I just wanted to come here tonight and let you guys know that I'm here and I'm trying, but I kind of missed it. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. He's still standing there if anybody has any questions. No, well, maybe the mayor does.
I just want to thank you for coming tonight and sitting through all that just to do something you probably could have done in an email. I think it says a lot that you were willing to come and speak to us about the issues, and I want to thank you for that. So.
Thank you.
And I don't think we're planning on finding you. Just as we wouldn't find any of our residents, just want, the grass cut, and we understand that things are hard. And speaking for myself, I think you're a great addition to the city. And, I think this kind of shows and demonstrates some integrity, which we were never doubting. But,
Sure.
It's like Gabe said, you could have very easily just done it and sent an email.
No problem. When the first few years I was here, this was me and my wife's date night, getting to know everybody. So
You missed it.
Sorry, Sharon.
I also say you miss all the shots you don't take, so you can quote me on that one too.
You stole
Okay.
that.
It's like you take all the shots you don't take. It's the same.
Any other discussion? No. Thanks for coming in, Mike.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you. Okay, we're still in public forum. Anybody else coming up to speak in public forum? Anybody else have anything to come up in public forum? Is anybody on the internet? Not a person. Well, that'll end public forum. That'll bring us to staff reports. We'll start with the fire chief over there. Thank you, Tim. Community development.
Mr. Chair, just a few things. First of all, the EDA is meeting this Thursday, August 5th at 7:30 a.m. here in the City Council chambers. 2 items regarding the Mississippi Landing Trailhead. The Park Board did approve a request for proposals for engineering and design services last week during their regular meeting. That has been out. The goal is for the project management team to review those submittals at the end of the month once they come in. Speaking of the project management team, the Riverfront Committee did meet to discuss who their representatives should be to that project management team. Again, Anish, just a reminder, during the council's motion at our last meeting, authorized them 2. They are requesting the council to reconsider to allow them 3. Those 3 being Don Gorham, John Forrest, and Eric Roberts. The reason being, again, those 3 gentlemen are really the 3 that have been a part of that committee since the very beginning, and they would also appreciate Eric Roberts' expertise as a landscape architect on that PMT. So I don't know, Mr. Chair, if you want that on a future agenda or you want to handle that now?
Council acted on everything the council can act on in regards to the $2.85 million being spent on the Trailside Park, Riverside Trailhead Park. We gave it to the Park Board and we set a project management team of a set size. If the Park Board changes that size, I think there are some members of the council who would also like to get on that commission too. But it's out of the council's hand. It would be a little inappropriate, I think, after we hand it to the Park Board, say, oh, but also, you need to add a different member that they may not see. Alderman O'Day.
I was liaison at that meeting. It was my suggestion that we change it because there were only 3 members that were found to be actually interested. And the other option was, if we can't change that through anything in this body or another body, that the 3rd would just be used as a non-voting participant and or alternate in case somebody can't make it.
I look forward to Mayor Bedeau liaising, his liaisonship, and letting us know what the park board decides on that.
Well, I think every single member of the park board also volunteered themselves, so.
Fun.
Last thing, Mr. President, just regarding the zoning code update, we want to say, or I should say, I want to say on behalf of myself as well as Mike Lamb and Jennifer Haskamp, that we heard you during your last council meeting, that you do have some concerns about the zoning code update. And we want to make sure that we continue to hear you and fully understand your concerns and your vision for the zoning code update. Therefore, what we are requesting, again, myself, Jennifer Haskamp, and Mike Lamb, is that the council be willing to sit down with us in pairs in the next week to discuss your concerns, your vision. The purpose here is we want to make sure that we understand your concerns and what your vision is so we can address them as we move forward. And so we want to hear from you and so we can make sure we hear it, we understand it, and we can address them moving forward. If the council is willing, Jennifer and Mike said they'd be willing to come up next week for an afternoon and then just have, I think the idea would be 2 council members at a time for probably about 30 minutes or 45 minutes and just have an opportunity. This is a listening session for us to hear from you to make sure we're addressing things.
Can we get a determination from the city attorney that that is not a serial meeting?
We can do that.
It seems kind of, I won't say the word sketchy because that's a sketchy word, but it seems kind of sketchy. So let's get, and I think if it's okay, yeah, if council members are available that day.
And I'd follow it up with a survey for you to sign up. So we'll address with the attorney, and then if it's okay, is council willing to?
Yeah, does anybody oppose that? As long as, okay.
We'll do that. And that's all I have, Mr. President.
So to follow up on the agenda item tonight about the Safe Routes to School, just to keep it on everyone's radar, I anticipate that solicitation coming out soon for grant funding for Safe Routes, in which we'll be coming forward to the council with and working with the Safety and Public Works Committee on coming with a recommendation to implement some of the improvements in the engineering study. So if you have things you'd like to see out of that study implemented at Harrison or Lowell or Riverside, just let me know or let your colleagues on Safety and Public Works know, and we can determine what we should apply for this grant cycle. That's all I have.
Thank you, Paul. Connie?
Last week, we received 50% of our ARP dollars from the American Rescue Act. We received $710,000 approximately, so we expect to receive about $1.4 million. With budget coming up, we thought we'd hold a workshop in September or first part of October with the council to decide on how to allocate those dollars.
Sean?
Nothing to report.
Eric, you have anything to add?
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Mr. President.
Police chief?
Nothing to report.
Okay, that brings us to the mayor's report. Oh, sorry, Jennifer Bergman, city administrator, what do you got?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple of things. First of all, I just want to thank the Crow Wing County HRA. They had a housing trust fund discussion, invited the city of Brainerd and the city of Baxter to sit down with the Minnesota Housing Partnership to talk about their housing trust fund and what that's going to look like and how that could benefit the city of Brainerd and our residents. And so I just wanted to give a thank you to the HRA for including us in that and listening to our concerns and needs for our residents. I had the opportunity to give a presentation to Minnesota NARO, the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials, who had a leadership retreat out at Madden's. So that was fun, just talking about the transition from HRA to city administrator. I also had the opportunity to attend the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities Conference in Alexandria last Thursday and Friday. About half, there were about 75 to 80 people who were there. About half of them were elected officials. So I would strongly encourage council members to consider going to a Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities Conference. Their next one will be November 17th and 18th in Wilmer. I think it was a really good use of time. Not only were the sessions great, but it was also great to connect with other cities. I connected with Wilmer and Alexandria and Virginia. Just to kind of hear, they are also other charter cities, so it's kind of interesting to hear that. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Bergman. That brings us to item number 12, the mayor's report.
Yes.
Time limits may be imposed.
Always are. First of all, I'd just like to say to David that that the P and Z stuff, I'd like to be involved with that if at all possible, if that is allowed. So, two things to note. The big one is the park board. We had our meeting last week, talking about budget, talking about numbers. I did express to them that maybe a little concern with the height of the dollar amount. But I do support all of the work and the effort that they've put into it, and I do think that we will have a pretty good budget coming forward. Don't necessarily say that we have to agree to all those dollars, but like that they will be presenting that to you and appreciate the process. I also wanted to mention, since nobody has, is that prior to this meeting, we had our Highway 210 workshop, if you will, with MnDOT and the commissioners from the county. And I just want to say to the public that we will make sure, at least as far as I'm concerned, that we are keeping in mind the pedestrians and the bicyclists. Even though we don't have a walkable, bikeable committee or ad hoc committee, we will be keeping that in mind because I believe that's one of the most important things. And then lastly, I just want to say that I have been invited to the mayor's prayer breakfast out at Craigan's, I believe it is. I should probably check to make sure that that's where that is. But is that Grandview? I will be driving, so I will be driving to Grandview.
Go to Craigan's if you want.
Well, it's crazy. The only thing I have to say is that this is at 6:30 in the morning, and I don't think that someone told them that I don't mayor before 8 a.m. So I will be there in person, but not as the mayor, because that's just too early for mayoring. End of report.
Just under the imposed time limit. Good job, Mayor Bedeau. That brings us to item 13, council member reports. We'll start down here with Councilmember Stenglein.
Sure. Well, so the sesquicentennial is moving forward. We have another meeting of our large group scheduled next week, so I'll have more to report on that later. Nobody has mentioned the fair yet, so I'm sure I'll see lots of folks there. I'll be bopping between a few different booths.
It's an odd number year. We don't need to campaign.
Some of us work at the fair. I have already done a couple of other fairs in other areas, and I'm telling you, ours is better. So anybody watching, ours is better.
I have nothing.
Thank you, Alderman Erickson.
I'm in between committees, so nothing to report for me tonight.
A couple things just to kind of add on to what Jennifer said. I have gone to Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities conventions. If you ever get a chance to go, they are really, really good and a lot of good information. 2, Lakes Area Music Festival is kicked off. Went and saw their very first performance in the new venue. Magnificent. All right. This is something that it is so important to our community and has so much more potential. I would encourage all of you to support it in any way, shape, form. They need people to help build set for the opera. So, if you can swing a hammer, they can put you to use. Then also library board met. They did have a vote, a union vote, and that did pass. But I was telling, Chris before, we don't have to deal with that. Kitschy gets to deal with that one. So then also they also voted for a slight increase in their budget from Kitschy. Okay. Also, kind of remind again that we can't use that money surplus to pay off levies or anything like that. That's kind of was one of the other reminders on there. And then they're hoping we have another meeting before the library has to submit their budget, so it should be submitted on time when we have a workshop.
But so you're saying that request we made to Kitschy, or that information we provided them, they said, whatever, no thanks, we're still going to increase our levy request?
No. They're looking at giving a slight budget increase, the way I understand it.
Oh,
to the levy. Yeah, no, not increasing.
Not asking for more.
No, not asking for more. No, okay. That would be not good.
Yep. Thank you, Alderman Pritchett. Alderman O'Day.
Yeah, pretty much everything I wanted to report about, Mr. Chansey talked about already, so I have nothing more to add.
Excellent. So I'll just say one thing. HRA met last week, and we thank the council for discontinuing the grant in Northeast. It was just a tough couple of years for a lot of different reasons, and it just didn't work out. We weren't able to spend all of the grant dollars like we were when we had the downtown grant or in Southeast Brainerd. We are going to be working on 2025, since we just had that meeting tonight. We are going to be working on having a type of zone and try and get a small cities grant for the Highway 210 corridor to coincide with the 210 reconstruction in 2025. So while we're getting some new roads and sidewalks, we're getting some facelifts on some businesses in that corridor too. So the HRA is working on that, and we may also submit for a different neighborhood potentially if it looks right. But that's what we have coming out of HRA.
Could that pay for some trees maybe?
We budget for trees. We have all the money on earth for trees. If you need money for trees, just let me know where you want a tree. Speaking of which, Paul, I do want trees at the median and College Drive, maple preferably.
Yeah, we do have that planned. Current estimates for 2-inch trees are coming at about $1,000 a piece.
$1,000 a tree, ouch. Out of the park budget or the streets?
Well, we have 25,000 in streets this year, and then the parks is proposed to start next year.
Oh, okay.
We don't have it in the parks budget right now.
They're like $50.
It's like an 8-inch.
Menards.
And Mr. Chair, if also may add, speaking of trees,
Yep.
just a reminder to the council that the Parks Department, which was awarded a EAB Emerald Ash Borer grant last year that was then transferred to the Community Development Department when the tree inspector role was transferred to us. Part of that is doing a tree inventory. The GIS intern has been doing an awesome job inventorying all the boulevard and park trees and putting them into GIS. Once that is done this summer, in the fall, assistant planners will be working on a management plan. And then in the spring, any money we have left over from that $35,000 grant also gets to be used for planting trees.
We love trees. We have plenty of money for trees, Teresa. Worry not, Brainerd Dispatch. The city of Brainerd loves their trees. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion